When using Illustrator, you've got lots of different align tools to help you line things up. So for example, on this part here, if I click and drag this rectangle, you see I get all these purple lines that popping up that snap to, for example, the center or to different parts on the page. Sometimes you want to be a bit more precise and have things equally spaced away from each other and things like that. One of the tools we can use to do that is grids. So if I go up to the view, we've got a few options that we need to do to get this set up correctly. We want to first of all show grid, which will give us a preview of the grid. And we also want to come up and choose snap to grid. Now if this grid is perfect, what's already set up and works well for what you have, you can go with it. Or if you want to work in a certain units, for example, you have some things to lay out and you want them to be exactly 5 mil or 10 mil away from each other, it's good to set up the grid to be in those units. So if I go up to Edit, Preferences, Guides and Grid, so you can see here my grid options. I can change things like the color to make them easier to see, but what we're interested in here is a grid line. So if you change that to how often you want them, so for example I might go, I want a grid line every 25 millimeters and click OK. You can see there that grid is open now, so between each of these lines is equal to 25 millimeters. So if I zoom in now and I wanted to create a 50 millimeter rectangle, what I can do is start drawing that rectangle to fill up these lines. So now I filled up one 25 mil rectangle, so that's a 25 millimeter square. If I choose 4 of them, I've created a 50 millimeter rectangle. If I was to copy and paste that now and come along and move that, you'll see it snaps into those grid lines, and if I wanted that to be exactly 25 millimeter away from the next one, I can drag along and space them out so they're perfectly spaced. So that's a good way when you're working with things that are precise, for example tabs, and you want them every 5, 10, 15 millimeters or any custom size. That's how you would set that up. Once you've done that and you want to start adding things like decorative parts and you don't want them to snap to the grid anymore, what you need to do is come back to View and uncheck Snap to Grid. That way I'll come along, I'll draw something else, you can see that's not snapping to anything, I can put that wherever I want.